navandi na lola nakabeli yo bomoi nanga lokola fololo soki osepeli na liboza na ngai soki olingi osalela na molu yoka losango ntango kopesanga bozwi ata otomboli ngai yo nasengi ozala na ngelongo tokoma ntina suka. Balobitika nzela nzambe na kitoko yozana okoki kokelela te motema ekomi kopeta balingi bakabolanga na yo nakokoka te nalingaka yo te Yesu nalingaka yo Yesu apui na ngai yoyo sécurité libota oh apui na ngai yoyo nalingaka yo balobi bima na eklesia na mayele yoza nango okoki koshome te baninga bonkourage ngai yo balingi bakabolanga na yo nakokoka te nalingaka yo apui na ngai yoyo oh apui na ngai yoyo Yesu nalingaka yo
Yes. Shalom. Shalom. Shalom unto all of our viewers and listeners. Wheresoever it is that you may be found at this particular time, space, and moment, we thank Elohim for yet another opportunity granted unto mankind to be participants of his great will. For the Bible says that the very heavens, they shew it the handiwork of Elohim, and the earth giveth glory unto its maker. However, mankind, of all the creations of Elohim, is the only one who thinks and feels like glorifying Elohim is an option. We move based upon how we feel. And therefore, the glory giving is inconsistent. That is why I like the Nigerians saying when they say, man no be God. For even though we are inconsistent, Elohim has never been inconsistent. He is everlasting and ever standing, never moving or flinching. He grants unto us the breath of life. He maintains the very ecosystem in which we find ourselves. For sciences themselves have said that should the sun deviate for just 1 degree to the left or to the right, mankind as we know it would either burn to death or freeze to death. Should the moon withstay and withhold its power, or come too close or too far from the orbit of the earth, we would either drown or the rivers would dry out. Should your heart, which beats for an innumerable time a day, if it should stop beating for 10 seconds by reason of the stoppage of the blood flow, you would either lose sanity or be paralyzed or die. And these are the things that Elohim is managing day and night. And therefore, when David became cognizant of the affairs of the Almighty, he uttered and said, "What is man that thou, O Yah, are mindful of him? Or the Son of Man, that thou thinkest of him?" And not only thinkest he of us, but some of us have received this mercy. He accords us this grace that once in a while, occasionally, he would come to you in dreams and speak with you and tell you things on how to improve. And all of this happens in the world of men. And therefore the wise, they take notice and they tell themselves, we will make sure that we honor this Elohim. And therefore they become wiser. But as for the impudent ones, the insensitive ones, they take things for granted and they move on and they live. And at the end of times and days, when the sand upon the hourglass of their own personal lives have dwindled down up until the last and final grain, and the angel of death comes and picks your soul and brings you beyond the shores of life to another life, and then there all of a sudden you will realize that we are living on borrowed time. So therefore, we ought to manage the affairs on this world without losing sight of the world that is to come. And because Elohim knew that because we are sensual people, quickly moved by what we see and how we feel. He therefore took and withheld and reserved for himself special kinds of men whom he gave a destiny and a purpose, so that they once in a while may appear and may reveal unto men the message of the hidden one. So in that order, we have come today to bring you into remembrance of some of the mysteries of the Almighty, in the hope that at least one soul may take notice and improve. So, dear brothers and sisters, we thank you for your time. So without any further ado, let us go to the first slide. The theme of the coming 3 weeks is...
What is man?
What is man? And the topic of today is...
The body.
The very body. The very body. So we will not try to spiritualize things. I've seen some things this week that it made me kind of tired. The unknown names and spirituals and all manner of things. So let's see how we will tackle this today, trying to make things as practical as possible. So the very introduction, please.
For today's lesson, we will try to answer the age-old question with regards to mankind. We will look at what mankind is, his purpose, creation, bodily composition, and finally some tips on how to keep this body at an optimal level. We will solely focus on the temple or the human body today, as not all things in this life are solely spiritually addressed. Bone answers to bone and flesh to flesh. So also a healthy body is needed to even attempt to address a healthy soul and spirit.
So, very simple. Very practical. So, table of content, please.
We will first look at the purpose of mankind.
And the reason why I said bone to bone, flesh to flesh is because especially this movement called the charismatic movement is a movement where feelings and emotions come first, and then reasoning, wisdom, understanding. It is even hidden in the very name, charisma. Charisma, which simply means flair. You are charismatic. The things that them lady wants, now also the men wants. So you go to churches and stuff, and there is very little substance, but there is an overdose of emotion. So you go to a church and there is no drums and there are no beats and there are no sensual singers, and the preacher man is not vibrant looking. His hair is not dyed yellow. His skin is not bleached. He's not wearing gold nor excess of cloth. And you tell yourself, this is a boring church. This is a boring church. So sensation is number one. And they tell you all manner of Captain America, Action Man tales. And they make you follow spirits and ghosts and things that are out of reason by making statements like, we will conquer Amsterdam, all manner of crazy things. We will bind Satan, all manner of things. But it will really try to keep it low and show you how by being calm at all times and looking at things from a practical perspective will get you very far in life. Sometimes even further than your prayer and your fasting. Yeah? So the table of content, please.
We'll first look at the purpose of mankind, the definition of the human body, and then the constitution of the human. First, the definition of the human body, and then the constitution of the human body. We'll look at the structure of cells, DNA, and human traits, the chromosomes and gender, and how the body functions. We'll look at the major organs like the lungs, the heart, the kidney, the liver, the gallbladder, and the hands. And at last, we'll look at the restoration of the body.
Yes. So a very interesting approach. So because of time also, to be honest with you, I don't know when we will finish. I don't know when we will end. It is my house anyways. So
This is your house.
it is the Sabbath anyways. So it's life. It's life. It's life. So let's see. If it is much, it is much. If it is little, it is little. So purpose of mankind.
Genesis 1 from verse 26. And Elohim said, "Let us make man in our image."
So Abba, remember, I said this a while ago. When you are trying to look at something and you are trying to conceptualize something to understand its basic purpose, function, reason of being, or raison d'être, you have to always apply what we call the law of first mentions. That is something that it will help you very much. So you should look at the very first time a subject is mentioned. Look at the situation surrounding the mentioning of that subject, because the occasion will give chance to the phenomenon happening. In other words, only when there is a need will there be something invented to fill the void or the want or that need. So when we are looking at mankind, we have to look at the first time Elohim mentioned mankind and what he said concerning the reason why he was creating mankind. So Genesis 1:26.
And Elohim said,
And Elohim spoke,
"Let us make man in our image,
let us make man in our image,
after our likeness,
after our very likeness.
and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea,
And then let them have dominion
over the
the
fish
fish
of the sea,
of the sea,
and the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps upon the earth." So Elohim created man in his own image. In the image of Elohim created he him. Male and female created he them. And Elohim blessed them. And Elohim said unto them, "Be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moves upon the earth."
Psalms continue.
8 verse 4. What is man that thou art mindful of him,
What is man, Abba, that you are so mindful of him?
and the son of man that thou visitest him?
And the very Son of Man that thou dost visit him.
For thou hast made him a little lower than the angels,
For behold how thou made him a little lower than the angels.
and hast crowned him with glory and honor.
And yet you crowned him, you endowed him with glory and honor.
You made him to have dominion
You made him to have dominion
over the works of thine hands.
over the very works of thine hands.
Thou hast put all things under his
And you
feet.
place all things under his very feet. So when you look at that word man, I think I will. When you look at that word man, or Adam, or Adamu, or Muntu, it simply means the head. That's why some of these Hebrew Strongs, they sometimes tell you, but sometimes they don't. And they say the source is unknown. But from our Bantu perspective, where it is written Adam or man, we read it as Muntu, Mutu. And what Mutu simply means, it means the head. It means the leader. it means the first. It means the one. It means mankind, the first of mankind. That is what it means. And so you will see that Elohim said, let us make mankind the first, the leader, and he will be the first. He will be the head. He will be in charge. He will have dominion over the land, the sea, and all the things that I have created in this world. So what Elohim simply wanted was a reflection of himself on this earth. So therefore he made man in his image and likeness, so that man may reign over what he made on this planet, just like he reigns over his own dominion in the heavens. That is why he made man, so that man may reflect him, so that man may act and do as he does, and so that man may rule over a kingdom which he, Abba, the Father, passed down unto mankind. So you see the intention, the purpose, the motive for Elohim was one of glory, was one of honor, was one of mercy. He had a good plan and good thoughts for us. And that is the very simple reason why he made man. And there are many approaches and angles to take this, to discuss what happened after the fall and stuff, but today we will not focus on that one because we have had teachings on that before. Every time we try to bring a message, we will try to approach it from so many ways. Because a wise young man once said that 9 plus 1 equals 10, but 5 plus 5 also equals 10. 7 plus 3 also equals 10. Meaning that there are many angles that you can take. Yeah? So we are continuing. Definition of the human
body.
Read.
The human body is a complex, highly organized structure made up of unique cells that work together to accomplish the specific functions necessary for sustaining life.
This human body of ours, it is the most complex thing that you can imagine. You can call it the magnus opus of Elohim, meaning the great work of Elohim. There are more than 1 billion things happening within your body per second. The way your brain functions, the way your heart functions, the way everything within you, the very composition of your cells, it is beyond understanding. That is why you will see almost every invention that mankind tries to make, they first look at nature and especially at the human body, and then they try to work it out and they try to replicate it. And they have said that up until this day, the very connection tissues and the pathways within your brain, they said that it is such complex wiring. It has more than 1 billion wiring system within your very brains alone. And that is your own, well, depending on the size of your head, that is your own small or big head. So it is very, very, very complex. So you will try as humble as possible, try to highlight some of the things that happens to your body that will need or that will benefit you in the long run whilst you are living life trying to serve Elohim. So the biology
of the human body includes anatomy, how the body is structured, and physiology, how the body functions.
So we'll try to look a bit at the anatomy, meaning how the very body is structured, is composed, and then we'll try to look at the physiology, how this composition of the body functions, how all these things work together.
Anatomy is organized by levels, from the smallest components of cells to tissues and organs and to organ systems.
All right. So we just read these people and their statement. I don't know why I forgot the source, but you can Google that nowadays. You just type definition of the human body, you will find these things. I don't know what happened, maybe sleep. But luckily we have the biblical one. So creation of
Muntu on the next slide. Genesis 2 from 6.
Actually, it is mutu, because these vowels and consonants, usually, I don't know if it was the vowels or the consonants which were silent.
The vowels.
I think was it the vowels that were silent?
You didn't write them down. Do you mean that?
Yeah, they didn't write it down. So then you see, we pronounce it muntu, but you write mutu. So it is a 4-letter word, and it is a name for mankind. That is how we call it. We don't call it Adam, or it is basically mutu. So read Genesis 2 and 6.
But there went up a mist from the earth,
So there went up a mist from the earth,
and it watered the whole face of the ground.
and that mist or dew began to water the surface of the ground. So the ground became wet, and it was very dark. Go ahead.
And Yah Elohim formed man of the dust of the ground,
And the Almighty formed man from the miry clay, from the wet dirt.
and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life.
And then he began to breathe in his nostrils the very breath of life.
And man became a living soul.
And man became a living soul. So the secrets of Enoch, where he goes a bit into some of the details, and he tells you the composition of mankind. So read.
So the secrets of Enoch, you can find this online, chapter 30, verse 10. On the 6th day, I commanded my wisdom to create man from 7 consistencies. 1, his flesh from the earth. 2, his blood from the dew. 3, his eyes from the sun. 4, his bones from stone. 5, his intelligence from the swiftness of the angels and from cloud. 6, his veins and his hair from the grass of the earth. 7, his soul from my breath and from the wind. And I gave him 7 natures. To the flesh, hearing. The eyes for sight. To the soul, smell. The veins for touch. The blood for taste, the bones for endurance, to the intelligence, sweetness, and enjoyment.
So you are seeing how sometimes you wonder what am I made of and stuff. He's explaining and telling you the very nature of mankind. Some things within your body and morphology are made of the very elements you see, and there are other things which are invisible and which are, let's just say, spiritual. And maybe the preacher man next week, when he will deal with the very dealings of the soul, will tell you how some of these things which you cannot see, but what you can feel through your sensation, how he will explain that. But I will only focus on the outer layer of man today. So you see, for example, how he says how your hair is made of the grass. Very strange how your very hair is made of the very grass. You cut grass and it grows. You cut your hair and it grows. And even when you cut your hair, you don't feel it. As if there are no tissues there. You cut it, you don't feel it. Your skin made of clay. Sometimes you wound yourself and then it grows back. So the human body is such a well-oiled machine, which we so take for granted. So continue reading.
Verse 12. I conceived a cunning saying to say,
And after I made man and I gave him his sensation and all these things, he said, I conceived a cunning saying.
to say, I created man from invisible and from visible nature.
So I made him both of invisible and visible nature.
Of both are his death and life and image. He knows speech like some created thing, small in greatness and again great in smallness. And I placed him on earth, a second angel.
So I placed him on earth to be a second angel, to be a messenger, to be the one that tells and that shows to all the creation my will.
Honorable, great and glorious. And I appointed him as a ruler to rule on earth.
And I made him a ruler in order for him to rule on earth.
And to have my wisdom. And there was none like him of earth of all my existing creatures. And I appointed him a name from the 4 component parts, from east, from west, from south, from north.
So I gave him a 4-letter name, symbolizing that he will be the one that will rule over the very 4 corners of the wind. So every letter that I gave him represents one of the 4 areas of the wind, so that he may have dominion over the entire world. Read.
And I appointed for him 4 special stars, and I called his name Adam, and showed him the 2 ways, the light and the darkness. And I told him, this is good and that bad, that I should learn whether he has love towards me or hatred.
Are you seeing this mystery now? Because sometimes we struggle with that very concept of free will. We are basically the only beings that he made, apart from the angel before the time that they fell, who literally have free will. So he said, behold how I made him, and I shewed him both the good and the evil, and then
I told him,
I let them go, and I said,
this is good
this is good
and that bad.
and that is bad. And then he said, then I sat down to look at what you would do,
That I should learn whether he has love towards
so
me
that I may learn whether he respects me
or
and whether he loves me
he has hatred,
or whether he does not like me.
that it be clear which in his race love me.
That is why we see we have more within our power than we think. We should not just let ourselves be and be like, yeah, if it is the will of God, it will happen. You should also move. You should also move. You should understand that they even say good fortune favors the brave. You should move. You should move. Don't just be like, yeah, I'm evil, so you stop. And don't be like, yeah, I'm good. No. Every day you stand before choices. Even the most holiest of persons, they can decide to wake up one day and say, you know what? Forget this. And no one will stop you. So you have some responsibility within your own system and your being. And that is what Elohim is telling us here. So continue.
That is the end of that.
That is the end of
verse.
that. So we saw the
Creation.
let's say the creation from a spiritual book. So now let's see at what these people that call themselves scientists say. We will compare and contrast. What is good we will take, and what is utter lies we will despise. So constitution of the human body. You see on the left the glossary, and then you see the breakdown of the human body. Read.
So first we'll look at the cell, which is the smallest independently functioning unit of all organisms. In animals, a cell contains cytoplasm, composed of fluid and organelles.
So the smallest component that makes you or that constitutes you is your cell, which is so small that you can't see it with the naked eye. You need a super microscope in order to see the composition of your body and the very cells after they break through the skin tissue. So those are the smallest components that make you who you are. And then we have
The organ, which is functionally distinct structure composed of 2 or more types of tissues.
So for example, your heart or liver, these are what we call your organs. And they only come to being when a great group of cells come together. Cells of the same class, when they come together, they combine and combine and combine and combine and combine and combine and combine, and then you get an organ. Read.
And then follows the organ system. An organ system is a group of organs that works together to carry out a particular function.
And this organ system, for example, let's say your respiratory system, which means the group of organs within your body which are responsible for your breathing. So your brain, your throat, your lungs, these organs, when they are combined, and your nostril, when these organs are combined, they make part of the organ system responsible for your breathing. Therefore, you see there are similar and specific kind of tasks that organs combine themselves in order to fulfill. So those are what we call the organ systems. Continue.
And after the organ system follows the organism itself. And an organism is a living being that has a cellular structure and that can independently perform all physiologic functions necessary for life.
So that's basically when the individual is complete. Then we have what we call an organism. So an organism is a human being. That is an organism. And then we have something on top.
A tissue. A tissue is a group of similar or closely related cells that act together to perform a specific function.
So you can call that, like, let's say, call it the skin. And then if you will go to the left picture, you see the breakdown of what we just read or discussed.
The right picture, right?
The right picture. You see how atoms make cells. A collective group of cells then make a organ, and then you see the skin over it, and then you see how all of it breaks down up until you have this the organ system, and then on the bottom you see a human being. So you see how your very body, it is layered. The compositions are layered. That's why you see how it is so wonderful how a human being first begins from a cell, which is the combination of the mother and the father. You are one cell. You begin by being just one cell. Then one becomes 2, it becomes 4, it becomes 100, it becomes 1,000, it becomes 1,000,000, it becomes 1,000,000,000, it becomes innumerable. That is why you, mankind, you are infinite. It is such a mystery, and it is so wonderful how we as human beings came to be. There was this documentary I saw on YouTube, I think it is called Life, and it shows they basically did a documentary on the life of a person. So they started with how that person was in the womb, and then when that person was born, how that person grew up until the moment that that person died. It was a very beautiful and complex documentary. And then I was like, wow, you can say what you want about these Edomites, but they take time to understand nature. Where we headless Bantus, we only want jollof and nasi and funchi and madness. And now we go to the church, but we hate madness. We don't want to explore the sea because we are afraid. We don't want to climb mountains because Bantus are afraid of everything. We fear the sea. We fear the sky. Everything. The only thing we don't fear is food. Food we don't fear. It's madness. But these people, they some of them will dedicate their time. So some of them will be like, it is my life mission to uncover the depths of the sea. Which Bantu has ever had that ambition? No, but something is wrong. Some of these Westerners, they'll be like, I want to climb mountain. I want to discover space. I want to make a documentary about the human body. But we burn nothing. But so the biggest that a Bantu usually can attain is he becomes a pastor. He wears suits and he speaks with a loud voice. No. This cannot continue like this. It is so crazy. What is your ambition? I want to be a pastor. And then you become a pastor, you are meek and you are humble for some are humble for some months, others are humble for some years. But then all of a sudden, humanity takes over. You dress nice, you smell nice, and then you begin telling people all manner of things. People start adoring you and praising you. And you are so comfortable, people praising you, but you are but flesh. So, next slide, please.
The next slide addresses the human cells.
The human cells. Mankind. So, yes, human cells.
Often thought of as the smallest unit of a living organism,
When we are speaking of the human cells, it is often thought of as the very smallest unit of a living organism.
a cell is made up of many even smaller parts, each with its own function. Cells are the basic building blocks of the body. All tissues and organs are made up of billions of different cells. Human cells vary in size, but all are quite small. Even the largest cell, a fertilized egg, is too small to be seen with the naked eye.
So, within the cell membrane,
Are two major compartments, the cytoplasm and the nucleus. The cytoplasm contains structures that consume and transform energy and perform the cell's functions.
now the important thing that I want to focus on, because I'm going somewhere, is the nucleus. So, the nucleus
contains the cell's genetic material, genes and chromosomes, which contain all the instructions for how the cell functions.
Yeah. So that is why it is so crazy that you can be a scientist and yet deny the existence of Elohim. It really makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. So it is telling you that within the nucleus contains the cell's genetic materials,
which are the genes and chromosomes,
which contain
all the instructions for how the cell functions and controls cell division and reproduction.
all cells,
In a person's body are descendants of two cells
the mother's egg,
and the father's sperm.
after the egg and sperm,
Joined together, which is called fertilization. This fertilized egg is just a single cell. This cell, the zygote, if I pronounce it right, divides many times, and as it divides, the descendant cells develop different characteristics and functions. These different cells eventually form the different organs.
So you see, it is the same as it is so wonderful how it is by shaking. So these cells basically shake, and then one cell becomes two becomes four. That is why some people say, like, we human beings, we are vibrations. We are just cells that shake together very hard, and that makes this hard mass. But in the grand scheme of things, we are moving parts. And the crazy thing about this is how some people within their own mind will be like, we human beings, we came out of nothing, or it just happens. We came out by coincidence. But what it is telling you is within the cells, there are instructions found. This is where people don't want to go. There are instructions found. If you look at a picture on the right, you will see that round thing, and then in the middle of that round yellow thing, there is this black core. There is this black core. It is infinite darkness. And within that black core, which is known as the nucleus, they have found certain things in there, which they then call the DNA. And within that, they found that every human being has specific instructions found within every cell. So, jump to the next slide, which will make it a lot clearer.
The next slide talks about the DNA.
So, DNA,
Genes consist of deoxyribonucleic. My goodness.
Just call it DNA.
Okay, that's the. Okay, now, okay, that's the abbreviation. So
Yeah.
genes consist of DNA, and DNA contains the code or blueprint used to synthesize a protein.
So especially the programmers and the coders and the so-called IT people in our midst, they should be alarmed, because they basically say genes or DNA contains the code.
Or blueprint used to synthesize a protein. Each DNA molecule is a long double helix that resembles a spiral staircase containing millions of steps. The steps of the staircase consist of pairs of 4 types of molecules or code called bases or nucleotides. In each step, the base adenine is paired with the base thymine, or the base guanine is paired with the base cytosine. Each extremely long DNA molecule is called up inside one of the chromosomes. This 4-letter code, or the ATGC, is sometimes called the God code.
So, dear people, and this is in their science, this is not me. I have no clue what they are talking about. All I can do is I can try to look at it from a logical point of view and see what it says. And to break it down in layman terms, what it is telling you is within every cell, you have the DNA strand, and every DNA strand has this particular code in it. And the code is the ATGC. And within that ATGC is the very instruction of life. So therefore, some sciences or some scientists, they have called it the God code. Because they have recognized that someone made us, or when we were made with certain instructions within our system. So the question is, you people that are programmers, some have developed their own software and stuff. You know how you develop software. You start with a black screen and then you begin to type things. And when you are first typing things, they don't yet come to be. You type things and then you put it in a program, if I'm correct.
And then it delivers output.
And then it delivers output. But you understand that that output cannot come out of itself. Someone must have written the code. So people, who wrote the code? For those people who are like, God doesn't exist, we were out of the Big Bang, it is impossible. It is evident by the fact that we are existing that there was a higher intellectual force that made us. That there was a higher intellectual force that made us. And that higher intellectual force, he left his blueprint within us. And therefore, this higher intellectual force, he gave every DNA instructions. So within every DNA, there is an instruction. What do I mean with these instructions? What I mean is the DNA of the cells of the lungs have an instruction to grow into a lung. And within that instruction of the lungs, he gave instructions and he taught the lung on how to cleanse your blood. Within the cells of the heart, there are instructions. And within the cells of the heart, he gave the instructions for the heart to pump blood. Within the cells of the eye, there are instructions. And he instructed the eyes on how to dilute the pupils or become smaller and how to look and pass that information to the brain. In other words, your entire being, the way you live, someone wrote it down and someone placed instructions there. That is why, for example, don't you find it very strange how when a baby is born, the baby has never drunken something before. But when the baby is born, you take the baby and you place the baby close to the mother, and the baby knows how to suck milk. Yeah. The baby has never been taught. The baby's eyes are closed. How does the baby know I must drink milk? It is a mystery. It is because within the baby's ecosystem, within the cells, Elohim has programmed things. Elohim has programmed things. Elohim has programmed things. So there is an intelligence at work that made us how to be. That made us how to be. But these scientists, some are trying to deny it, saying we are this, we are that. No, we are the very creation of Elohim. You must understand that. And the reason why I'm emphasizing on this higher power that had a plan for us, it will all crystallize in the next coming slide. So the next slide, please.
The next slide starts with Psalms 100 from verse 3.
So science trying to explain it, but let's look at David, Mr. Spiritual.
Know that Yah,
So he's telling you, please know that Yah,
He is Elohim.
people, he is Elohim.
It is He who has made us,
And it is Elohim who made us.
and not we ourselves.
We did not create ourselves.
We are His people.
We did not create ourselves. He made us and then he left some codes. Because even that very letters, the CTGC, if you understand that every letter can be turned around into a specific number, you will then understand how even all the programmers, they will tell you that in reality, there are only two numbers. There is the 0 and there is the 1, which we call the binary code of existence. Nothing can be made without the 0 and the 1. So Elohim also has his binary code, the very code of creation. To tell you that you scientist, you think you are smart, but he has been ever smart from everlasting. So he's telling you, don't you know that Elohim has made us
And not we ourselves.
and not we ourselves?
We are His people
We are his people.
and the sheep of His pasture.
He decided for us to have two hands. And he decided that every hand should have 5 fingers. He decided the way your eyes should look. He decided your heights. He decided your skin color. He decided that you would have one heart, that you would have lungs, that you would have a liver. He decided the length of your toes. He decided the size of your lips. He decided the length of your hair. Everything he decided. The structure of your hair. He decided your gender. People, all of this is decided by Elohim so that it would fit his perfect plan. So know ye not that it is Elohim who has made us and not we ourselves. Read.
Ephesians chapter 2 from 10. For we are His handiwork.
For we are the creative input of Elohim. We are his handiwork.
Created in the Messiah Yahushua unto good works.
We were created in the Messiah Yahushua so that we may shew good works. Read.
Psalms 139 from verse 13.
Now listen, for
Thou hast possessed my reins.
listen, for I am your possession, for I am yours. Thou hast possessed my inner beings.
Thou hast covered me in my mother's womb.
In my mother's womb, you covered me.
I will praise thee,
I will praise you.
for I am fearfully and wonderfully made.
Do you understand how fearfully and wonderfully we are made? It is the most complex thing you can imagine. You see a woman walking around, and within her body there is another human being being formed. So while she's asleep, a human being is being formed. When she's walking around, a human being is being formed. She is breathing, the baby is also breathing. Do you understand? The baby is growing within a human body. There is heat, fire, molecules, there is exchange of things within a human being. It is crazy. And then you have some Bantus, even whilst the wife is pregnant, he will smack you upside the head. They exist. Some Bantus are so aggressive, they will uppercut the woman whilst she's with child. This life. So David is saying, listen, I am fearfully and wonderfully made.
Marvelous are thy works, and that my soul knows right well.
Go ahead.
My substance was not hid from thee.
Listen, my substance was not hid from you.
When I was made in secret
When I was made in secret,
and curiously wrought in the lowest parts of the earth,
and I was curiously wrought in the lowest parts of the earth.
thine eyes did see my substance,
So your eyes saw me,
yet being unperfect.
yet being unperfect.
And in thy book all my members were written.
You see, and it is in whose book?
In thine book
All my.
members were written.
So it means Elohim has written out your members. So what if in Elohim's book he wrote that you will have a male part? And all of a sudden you come into life and you're like, I don't feel like having this male part. I want a female part.
All my members were written.
So that you replace your part and you put another part. But in the book of Elohim, it is not so. And when he will call you before him, he will call you based upon his book. So he says, all my members are known in your book,
Which in continuance were fashioned,
which in continuance were fashioned.
when as yet there was none of them.
So these ladies who can comfortably commit abortion and be like, it is not yet alive. No, it is not yet alive. It is only alive after 4 months. No, it's 2 months and it is, I'm free. You don't understand. You're not free. You are not free. From the moment that you are pregnant, you are pregnant. You are pregnant. Whether the baby is 2 weeks, 1 month, when you take that person out abruptly, you kill a soul. You kill a soul. You kill a soul. So Elohim is telling you, listen, before you were even born, I knew you. That is why he was able to call Jeremiah, and he was able to tell him, before your mother came together with your father, I knew you. And I called you by name. So do not let these scientist women try to deceive you when you are maybe depressed because you went and you slept with a taxi driver, and now you don't see any hope in your future, and you're like, let me remove the baby. And the scientists, they will comfort you, be like, don't worry, it's not really a baby, it's now a non-living entity, it's a fetus. So you can just remove it. Yes, because science says babies don't feel, they only start feeding from the 6th month. They are lying to you. These people are deceivers, evildoers, soulless entities. They will take that baby when you remove it and they will put it in their soup and they will eat it. And some will use the fetus, the aborted fetus, and they will use it as chemicals to make makeup. And they will use it for ingredients to make de-aging products. And they will sell it to the rich. They will sell it to the Beyoncés and the Rihannas so that they may forever look young by using baby skin. And some will put it, the Chinese will put it in their soup to eat it so that they will look young. And some of the Bantus, they will use it for fire sacrifice to call on their gods of Benin. Mankind is just messed up. So continue reading.
Going to the next slide, which talks about the human traits.
Now read the Bible verse above the pictures. Psalms.
Psalm 64 from verse 8.
He's saying,
But now, O Yah, thou art our Father.
you are our Father.
We are the clay,
We are the clay,
and thou art the potter.
and you are the potter,
And we all are the work of thine hand.
and you fashioned us, and you made us. So next slide, traits, people.
Addressing the human traits, a trait is any gene-determined characteristic.
Determined by who? That is the question. A trait is something passed down, but it has been determined by someone. A trait is any gene
Determined characteristic.
determined by who? This is this great intelligence that we are now telling by our actions that he's actually dumb. But he is so smart that he made us. But he made a mistake in how he made us, according to you. So any trait is a determined gene. Read.
Many traits are determined by the function of more than one gene. For example, a person's height is likely to be determined by many genes.
Elohim determined your height. So if you are tall, glory. If you are short, glory. If you are medium length, glory. Go ahead.
Height is likely to be determined by many genes, including those affecting growth, appetite, muscle mass, and activity level. However, some traits are determined by the function of a single gene. Variation in some traits, such as eye color or blood type, is considered normal. Other variations, such as albinism, Marfan syndrome, and Huntington disease, harm body structure or function and are considered disorders.
We will deal with albinos somewhere this year. But you already read it. It's abnormal. These are not my sayings. This is science speaking. You already read it. It is abnormal. But we will deal with that. So you are seeing traits passed down. Read.
These are considered disorders. However, not all such gene abnormalities are uniformly harmful. For example, one copy of the sickle cell gene can provide protection against malaria.
That is what many of us Bantus have. If you go to the doctor, you will see almost all Bantus are a carrier of the sickle cell gene. The reason why they have it is because it will help you fight the malaria. That's why when the colonizers came in the 1300s, they came to Africa and many of them, if not most of them, died because they did not have this sickle cell gene. And so they ran back and they then began to do business from the shores of Africa. They could not enter the motherland because they would die of the heat and of malaria, which was Elohim's natural protection for us for a season. So don't let the doctor scare you. You have a sickle cell. It's Elohim's protection. It's Elohim's protection. So many of us have it, but it is dormant. It is dormant. It only becomes dangerous when it is active. And then you marry someone who is also active, then you get a child and she's born and she's anemic and she's suffering from sickle cells. Then it becomes another story. But if you have it and she has it, but both of it is dormant, it is just life. You are a Bantu. You are a Bantu. But that is not what I am discussing. What I'm discussing is, look at the Negroes on the right. You see these Negroes? This is father and son. This is father and son. The father is the bald one, the son is the one with the hair. But if you gave them the same haircut, they would look like twins.
Yeah.
It's father and son. And this is the mystery of traits. The son did not decide how he would look like. The son did not decide his nose, his lips. He decided nothing. Even his smile was not decided by him. It was decided by an intelligence. The traits that were passed down. The traits that were passed down. So now just imagine the son. He comes of age, he has some money, and he's like, I hate my father, man. Why do I look like this nigga? And then he goes to the doctor, and the doctor changes his lips, his nose, his skin color, to the point where his father doesn't recognize him anymore. So how do you think the father would feel? The father would be like, why do you hate me so much? And these are the things that we ungrateful entities are doing in our day and time. We are trying to thwart with the intelligence of the higher man. We are telling him, you made a mistake. Like the Ghanaians, you made a mistake. That's what we're saying now.
Falsely advertised this place.
we are telling Elohim that he has falsely advertised this place. That is what we are telling Elohim. Because we are not happy with how we look. We are not happy with how we look. So we bleach our skin. We change our nose. We change our nose. We change our lips. We do all manner of things. And these are evils. These are evils, but it can be restored still. But there is also an abomination that is coming. Because of the liberty we now have, trying to thwart with the great intelligence. Before we go there, next slide, the chromosomes.
Chromosomes are thread-like structures.
We are now hitting the zenith of ungratefulness. So chromosomes.
Chromosomes are thread-like structures made of protein and a single molecule of DNA that serve to carry the genomic information from cell to cell. In plants and animals, including humans, chromosomes reside in the nucleus of cells.
You see? It resides within the nucleus because that is the black box. That is where all the information with regards to who you are supposed to be is found within your body. Read.
Humans have 22 pairs of numbered chromosomes.
Now listen, humans have 22 pairs of numbered chromosomes.
And 1 pair of sex chromosomes.
And they have 1 pair of all these 22 chromosomes that determine your length, everything concerning you. There is also 1 sex chromosome. And that one determines, read.
So the sex chromosomes is the XX or the XY chromosome, and together it totals 46 chromosomes. Each pair contains 2 chromosomes, one coming from each parent, which means that children inherit half of their chromosomes from their mother and half of their father. Typically, biologically, female individuals have 2 X chromosomes, XX, while those who are biologically male have 1 X and 1 Y chromosome.
So what you are reading there is, it is basically telling you why you see a child is born and you see the father and the mother in the child. There are some behaviors that a child may have, and if you know the parents you'll be like, hey, dit is van deze man, or this is the behavior of the father or of the mother. It is a mystery, and these are the things that is passed down through the traits. And which is wonderful and all, but then we come to what is nowadays disputed in our society, the sex chromosome. Because it is the sex chromosomes that determine the gender in which you will be born. The gender in which you will be born. If you have the XX or the XY, you will either be a female or a male. This is determined not by you. Just like you don't determine your skin color, you don't determine if you are. This is determined and not by you. Elohim has made you a male or a female. End of story. So there are no 600 genders. How? And this is the crazy thing. This is a so-called scientific world, but there are some things that we say that even monkeys in the zoos of Congo would not say. How are we able to say that there are more than 300 something genders? Does it? Even if you would say there are more than 5 genders, you would already be crazy. But there are more than 300 something genders based upon scientists. So, and the crazy thing is, I have yet to find a list of all the 300 something genders. So what genders are there? There are humans, there are males, there are females, there are she-males, there are the shobrots, there are the kodos, there are the dunners. So what genders are there? What? Yeah, because what genders are there? There is the I don't even what names there is the Sodomos. What genders are there? What genders are there? What genders are there? And no one asked this from, hey, who was the author of that source who said there are 200? And why doesn't he give us a list of the genders? But this is found and this is accepted. And so-called scientific, smart people are saying this. But we only know two. Man, female. Because nature has decided it so. And up until now, the way Elohim has made our body, it functions, it is the most perfect machine you will find. It is more perfect than your computer, than your car. Elohim has made the human body, it is perfect. The way everything works, it is intricate. But he made a mistake on your gender. So we said no. We said no. But if you go to the next slide, I'm sorry for doing this to you guys, but eyes must see. Eyes must see. And stomach must vomit. You have to shake in your house and be like, you have to feel the disgust. But this is happening live. It is happening live. Nowadays, even when you are watching movies, be very careful. Because what you see is not what you see. What you see is not what you see. That's why I like, Pastor Tony Smith once said, in this day and time, before you marry, ask the birth certificate. Because you don't know what you don't know. And when you are in heat, you are in heat. And sometimes you think fire is fire. But what society has now done, what technology has now done, we have reached a point, and that is where you see the craftiness of the adversary. So when people are like, I bind Satan, I'm like, what are you talking about? An entity that is millions of years old. He has seen you, he has seen Adam. So it means he knows you better than you know yourself. And he was able to beat Adam. But you conquer and you trample on Satan. Someone who can plan things for thousands of years. So now you see why. Are you now seeing what makeup has done? Because of makeup now, the crazy men in heat can no longer distinguish between a male and a female. Because makeup has now reached a level where, by reason of makeup, males can now appear to be even more hot. the natural woman. And then they enhance themselves. They give themselves shapes. And they walk around. And you go to a nightclub and you are drinking. You are living.
You are bouncing.
All of a sudden you are praising. You are drinking. And you do things. You do things. And you don't know what you did. But you did things. But it was a man. Didn't you guys read what happened to Ronaldo de Lima? The original Ronaldo?
The big one.
Yeah,
The heavy one.
the Ronaldo. He went to Brazil and he thought he was doing things with a woman. And then later on, it was revealed that was not a woman, but it was a transformer. It was Optimus Prime. She transformed. It was literally a man, but she was turned into a woman. So people, look at the slide. This is the sorcery in Babylon, the land of confusion. On the left, she, or should I say it, was a man. It was a man. And then on the right, it says, call me Caitlin. But at first, its name was Bruce. Now it says, I am Caitlin. And it says, I am not a man. It says, I am a female. And it gets very upset if you say, sir. It wants you to say, miss.
Miss me with that.
It wants you to say, ma'am. And then it will say, yes. And then on the right, you see a she. And the she then turned into a he overnight. And now the he has no breast anymore. He has a six-pack, and he begins to have the morphology of a man. But he was a she first. And this is happening in Babylon. And how did it happen first? They said, Elohim made a mistake. I am a man, but I am a woman in a man's body. I am a man in a woman's body. I don't feel well. I don't feel comfortable. And Edom said, it is all right. Express yourself. No, it's okay. Just live. Do what thou wilt. That is the end of the law. That is the credo of Edom. Whilst any child will go through a certain stage where he wants to make a mistake and play with, and then you kick the child. You kick the child quick. You address the child like, hey, mana doen dit niet. One time, two times, it is done. But Edom entertained it. Edom entertained it. And now they are putting it in your schools, on TV, every movie you watch or any documentary, whatever you want to watch. You now only see either a black man with a white woman or a white woman with a black man, or you will see two black men and they are buddies. We were watching this home makeover show on Netflix. Normal show. They showed a black woman, very masculine. We were like, why can't you just put someone normal? She was very masculine. So I was annoyed. And then episode 2, they showed two black men and they were gays. But it's a home makeover show. And then they showed a white family and they were normal. So one masculine woman and then two gays. And then you only see that. You see that. And now look at all. That is why I really will take my time, not for this, but one of these days we really have to talk, because it seems as if there are now more butty blacks than there are whites. I'm shocked. It is as if I see one every week. And you know us Bantus, we are in too deep. So when we do things, we are always too deep. When others speak, we shout. When others walk, we run. So we always do things to the extreme. So when you would see an Edomite being butty, you wouldn't know it. He will act very normal, even smart sometimes. You're like, but it's butty. But then when you see a Bantu man being butty, he goes to the to the extreme. The way to the extreme, because it is unnatural to him. So he really had to kill his own soul because it is unnatural to him, to the point where he's like, fire burn. But the verse below says,
in Deuteronomy 23 from 1,
he
that is wounded in the stones or had his privy member cut off, he shall not enter into the congregation of Yah.
It is an offense that cannot be overruled. You are a man, you chop off your private part, and they use 3D printing to skin tissue, to print tissue. And then they form, just like women, they form a pie. They now form a skin and they put it there. And now you say you are a woman. Or you are a woman and you close that part and they 3D print by genetic manipulation a skin. And then they graft it there. And all of a sudden you think you are a boy. Elohim is saying, he that is cut in the private part
shall not enter into the congregation of Yah.
You will be rejected. It is an abomination. There is no atonement. You have committed an offense. It is beyond insult. So no one can plead. To say what exactly? He thought he was a woman. And Elohim will be like, but how does one think he's a woman? I can understand that one does not believe sometimes in me because I'm invincible, but you were born a man. How do you think you are a woman? Which lawyer can defend that? Which angel can now speak another tongue? What would you say? So don't go this far. Next verse.
Romans 1 from verse 27.
Listen.
And likewise also the men,
Listen.
leaving the natural use of the woman,
Listen.
burned in their lust one towards another, men with men, working that which is unseemly, and receiving in themselves that recompense of their error which was meet, and changed the glory of the uncorruptible Elohim into an image made like to corruptible man.
You were made in the image of Elohim. To him that was perfection. But now you said Elohim made a mistake. So you changed the glory of the incorruptible Elohim because you were made in his image. And now you make your own image, which is very wicked and corruptible. Now the man has become the woman has become the man. And now they demand for the whole world to acknowledge them. You go to work, you have to acknowledge them. You are a teacher, you have to teach them. They come to you with issues, you have to counsel them. This is the land of our captivity. And these types of things have become the order of the day. So now it becomes even very difficult. And you must really train yourself to not find it normal in your heart. If that is you, what do you think will happen to your children and the generation that is to come? Because you still know the difference, because in your day and time, it was not so. But now they will grow up, and in their day and time, it will be so. It will be so. So how will they then know for, hey, it is unnatural? It means parents must make a deliberate effort to really grain in their child the difference between. To do extra muscular activities with your children. Let the man really be the man. and let the woman really be the woman. Let the woman be in their natural state so that we can still distinguish how a natural woman looks like. Because you don't understand the agenda that they are pushing. You think, oh yeah, if everyone is taking Brazilian butt lifts, you don't understand. The enemy has already calculated. It is not for you. What he's doing is the enemy has used women as guinea pigs to perfect this sin, so that when he has messed up the women, now he can bring in the transgenders. So the transgenders will look beautiful, the natural woman. It is coming. It is coming. It is already there. You place a natural woman and you place a transgender, and if your mind is off for 1 degree, you'll be like, hey, size well struck, man. But it's not size, it's a it. Just look at a very, there was this documentary by this brother, Extended Thoughts. Just look at how a woman that is made up with makeup, fake hair, Brazilian butt, and then compare and put a transgender there. They look the same. That is the danger now. So if you fall for such ladies, you are now in danger. Because one mistake, and you will have slept with your kind. You will have slept with your kind. And you don't know, but you have become a homosexual. You have become a lesbian. Because you slept with one, and they are now so cold-hearted, they won't tell you that they are Transformers. They won't tell you, hey, I'm Optimus Prime. They won't tell you that. They will get you drunk. You sleep with them, and then the cat is out of the bag. They'll be like, what can I do?
They even blackmail.
They'll be like, you enjoy it, didn't you? And then you're like, yeah, it's life.
They even blackmail you.
It's life. And I'm telling these things because that's why we thank Elohim for his laws, because his laws are keeping us safe. Because there is no transgender that will walk around with no makeup. So if you want to be safe, find them natural ladies. Find them because they are natural. But if you have a lady, she's always with makeup and fake things, something's wrong. So you must really advise yourself in 2023, especially those who are not yet married. And you are going places, meeting people you have never met before. If you grew up with her, okay, but if you've never met her, ja, ik ga naar Frankrijk en ik zag iemand, succes. Maybe she's Optimus. So these are the things, people. Next verse.
Jude chapter 1 from 7.
Read.
In like manner, Sodom and Gomorrah and the cities around them, who indulged in sexual immorality and pursued strange flesh, they are on display as an example of those who sustain the punishment of eternal life.
So people are like, we don't believe in God. But what do you call the sin of homosexuality? Even in today's common tongue, what do we call it?
Sodomy.
They call it sodomy. Where do they get that from? But they say they don't believe in God. But why do they call it sodomy? It means they know. They have coined the sin, the name that the Bible called the city where that sin was infamous. So men, sisters, it was not so. There are some men, I know some, it is a brother even, and by Elohim's mercies, the brother is now engaged and he's getting married. But when he was younger, he was effeminate. Some men are just born like that. They are too soft, but they are still male. Now, if you took that boy, that brother, and you placed him in Edomite family, he would be gay now. or he would be a transgender. Because Edomite would be like, ja, weet je, we zien dat je niet helemaal gemakkelijk voelt bij het sporten. Je doet niet echt aan manactiviteiten. Dus ja, als er wat is, als je iets met ons wil bespreken, ja, leg het gewoon op tafel. We begrijpen het wel. We willen gewoon dat je je goed voelt. And then that boy would allow that to take over. And the boy would then start experimenting with things, with dolls and stuff. But because it was a Bantu family, they were heavy church goers. He was filled with the Holy Ghost. He would sing in the church, and his father was there, his mother was there. So he's still soft, but his softness can be managed. So now he's engaged and he will be married. It is because his culture, his surrounding helped him. But if it was in Edom's custody, that brother would not be gay. So people, even if you have a niece that is a bit of a tomboy, or if you have a nephew that is a bit soft, there is still hope when they are young. You must really drill some things into them. Because not all of us can be Rambos and macho manna. So don't fall for this trap. You are either male or female. So, having said that, I think we're now at the half. Let's see if we can speed things up. I don't know.
Let me take a break. See after the commercial.
Let me see if we can speed things up. I don't know. Hey, so how the body functions.
Looking at the next slide, it says that the human body consists of 70% out of water.
So the human body consists of 70% of agua.
Water is one of the most essential elements in the body. In fact, it is the most abundant substance in the human body and is a major component of every cell. Water is the basis of all bodily fluids. It is vital for the functioning of tissues, organs, and bodily systems. Water is the most important substance known to man and should be absorbed daily without fail.
So these are basic stuff, but still it must be said. Some people don't drink water at all. Others, they drink it met moeite. So it really takes them effort to drink agua. You must drink it every day. Try to drink it as often as possible, because the secret of a healthy body is circulation. If there is no circulation, you are not functioning well. And the number one thing that will help circulation is simple agua. We're trying to take some spiritual matters away and discuss some practical things that will help you and increase longevity, hopefully. So 70% of your body is agua. Drink a lot of agua, please. Plain and simple. Next slide.
The next slide shows a picture of the human organs and their functions.
So these are the major organs and their function.
We will focus on the heart, liver, kidneys, gallbladder, and lungs.
So first read all of these organs.
Starting from the top, it refers to the brain.
So as for this brain, this is more linked with, I think, the topic that will be coming, because that has more to do with the inner workings. So it is a major organ, brain,
The lungs,
the
heart,
heart,
the spleen, the stomach, the pancreas, the large intestine, the bladder, the ureter, the small intestine, the kidney, the gallbladder, the liver, and the trachea. Or I don't know how you pronounce that in English.
I think trachea. So you will do well by simply taking your time and in your own private time, try to read all these things, look at how it works, simply to help yourself. By simply doing that alone, it will help you more than your so-called visits to your prophet when you don't feel well. Simply reading what every major organ is, what it does for yourself. See what the things are that make it strong and what the things are that weaken it, and advise yourself to do the things that strengthen it and stop the things that weaken it. It will help you without shedding one prayer, without giving your money to no so-called what? Simply by doing that. However, for this lesson, we will focus on
the heart, the liver, the kidneys, the gallbladder, and lungs.
basically, those are the things that we will do. But before we do that, next slide,
So the next slide talks about the importance of your hands.
we will look at the hand. Everything that is being said, there is even a link for it, confirming almost everything. These are people that are not spiritual. These are people that have just taken the time to observe the human body. Because what you have to understand is that Elohim, being so merciful, he made men, and he has made sure that he has put things in place so that men may help themselves. Elohim does not want, or nor is it his intention for you to call on him for everything. You don't call on Elohim for everything. There are some things he has placed in you, and he is expecting you to use common sense. That's the issue. It's just like when you train a child. When a child is 1, 2, 3, and 4, it is natural that the child will call you for everything because the child cannot help itself. But when the child reaches 12, 15, do you still wipe your child's back when your child is 12? No. You have potty trained him, and you expect him to wipe his own behind. You don't do that anymore. But look at mankind. The things that we ought to take responsibility for, the things that we ought to manage ourselves, we don't do that anymore. We now leave it to the pastors and the prophets, whilst there are things we ourselves can monitor. Elohim's wisdom in us can help us along the way. So one of the things that Elohim has laid and put in our disposal, literally, is our hands. And he has given us our hands because there is no one that doesn't look at his hands every day. That's the issue. Sometimes you don't see your back. Sometimes you don't see your torso. Sometimes you don't see your knees, but you see your hands every day. Because when I'm speaking, guess where my hands are? They are in my plane of sight. They are in my sight. When I'm pointing figures, when I'm looking at my phone, your hands, you see them more than 100 times a day. Easy. It is the most seen visible body part in your entire body. And you think it's coincidence. No, this is the master planner at work. Why? Because your hands are literally what you can call, they are your dashboard. These hands are your dashboard. They tell you about the goings ons within your body through your hands. So basically, Arika, read for us.
Your hands are your dashboard. They give you a sign of your health.
For example,
shaky hands reveal Parkinson's disease.
You can already tell that you are becoming ill when you see that some people, they can't hold their hands straight. And I'm not talking about, none of us can really hold it straight, but when you reach this point, you reach this level, it is an indication that something is not well. So one of the key markers of the Parkinson disease is very shaky hands. Very shaky hands. It is telling you that on the inside, something is wrong. Next example.
Discolored palms or nails on the hand are a sign of bad health and liver or kidney disease.
So for example, you look at your hands should have a normal color. They should have normal color. But when you see, like, all of a sudden, your palms
Discolored.
begin to be discolored. A strange color that you didn't have before. Your hands are telling you that, hey, something within me is wrong. You are sick. And it usually has to do with the liver or the kidney. And apart from that, it's not only your palms, it is also your nails. When you begin to see a discoloration on your nails, very discolored, your nails are, especially your hand nails, are bachao, discolored, always brittled. Your nails don't grow whole. They always grow. So when they're growing, they're already broken. It is telling you that something within your body is not well. And it is telling you that. So read.
Grip strength reveals your heart health.
Usually when you go to the doctor or when you've had a heart attack, what do the doctors usually do to determine whether you are well or not? So let's say you have fallen down and the people come from the ambulance. When they wake you up, one of the things they will tell you is they will give their finger and they will tell you, grasp the finger. And they will say, grasp as hard as possible. Why? Because the grip of your fingers tell you literally the health of your heart. So if you are losing the grip on your finger, it is telling you that, hey, your heart is becoming weak. Your heart is becoming weak. So for yourself, let's say you wake up one day and you didn't really feel well, and then all of a sudden you see that you can't hold things or you can't really grasp something. There is no time to wait. You take your shoes, and whilst you are running to the doctor, you are praying. So don't sit and pray. No. Pray whilst you are running to the doctor. Take action. You see your nails are very brittled, your hand nails are very brittled and stuff. Your palms are discolored. Call the doctor. Tell them I don't feel well. Invent things just so that they will check your blood. Because these crazy Edomites, unless it is severe, they will not check your blood. They will give you paracetamol and ibuprofen. So sometimes you have to go there, invent things. Invent things. Van, dokter, ik weet niet wat ik voel, dokter. Ik moet testen. Just do it. And sometimes even out of your own allowance, you can pay money and go to a hospital and they do a full body check. Most of these Westerners, we always make fun of them, but many of them, they go for a yearly check. Every year, once a year, and they check their whole body. How many Bantus do you know that do that? That is why they have understood some things, even though they hate God. So women usually, when they hit the age of 30, it is a national thing. They will send every female a letter. Hey, you have now reached a certain age where, based upon our statistics, females get certain diseases. So we advise you. You have health. You pay for your health care. We advise you. Please come and be tested. Edomites, they go. Sometimes the doctor discovers something early. They remove it. And her life is spared. No prayer done. Bantus will be like, in the name of Jesus. Jesus. I rebuke. How dare these people send me things to check? Oh, my God, I could do all things to God. I feel well. These people, they want to harvest my kidney. Paranoia. You are paranoid. And maybe you are sick. And maybe you are sick. So advise yourself. Don't refuse any test. If you can be tested, Test. Just test. Test. And then Elohim being so merciful then, because he knows Bantus are spiritual people, they will read the Edomite letter, be like, no, we only believe in Jesus. So he will then allow you to sleep, and then he will let bears chase you in the night. You sleep, and then all of a sudden, you sleep, and then you dream that there is a woman that looks like an elephant. And she sits on your chest, and you can't move. In your dream, you're like, and you wake up, and then you wake up, you're like, and you then call your pastor. Prophet, yes, my dear, what is happening? I just finished praying 40 days and 40 nights. And then you're like, oh, pastor, oh, thank you, God. And then you're like, I had this dream, and there was an elephant woman, and she was sitting on my chest. I don't know. And the pastor like, was it an elephant? You're like, yes. Thank God. You're like, what? During these 40 days and 40 nights, I wrestled with an elephant. But now I understand it was for you. However, I think it's, please come to my house and let's discuss. You go to the house, you bring food, you bring money, and then he counsels you that, sister, I already did the 40 days. You only have to do the 21 days. Do the fasting, and we will cast out this spirit, because it is a member of your family. And then that pastor literally takes you to hell. Whilst what you don't know is, when you have a dream like that, especially dreams where you feel like something heavy hits you, it basically means that soon something is about to happen with your heart. Because when people have what do you call that? Heart attack. They say, like, when you have a heart attack, your body freezes. You verstijft. Your body freezes. It's like you can't move. So your body is telling you, hey, please let yourself be checked, because the heart is not functioning well, because you already missed all the other signs, a weakened grip and stuff. So then you will have crazy nightmares to alert you that, people, please go see a doctor. So nowadays, trust the doctor more than your prophet, please, for this season. That is how Elohim is working. That is how the body works. But people don't know, and they don't consider. So next one.
Pale hands reveal anemia.
People who have anemia, they know this. You are usually very cold, and you are usually very bleach. Your hands are very whitish. It is telling you that the flow of the blood and the blood cells are not in balance. So your pale hands will tell you that. Sometimes it moves not only the hand, it goes to your face. People, you will usually see, hey, your face is pale. Then you understand that there is a disease. But when it happens to your hands, which are the first indicators, you don't see. And then the club nails.
That reveals lung disease.
So when you, as I said, your nails say a lot. Especially when you see your nails are broken, they are distorted. It is telling you that especially your liver, lungs, and stuff, things are happening. And everything that we just said here, there is a link. If you go to that link, you see there's even more details there. And this is natural. But we don't know. So I wrote down the nails.
The nails are the solar panels for mankind that powers the lungs, liver, kidney, heart, and the gallbladder. Mm-hmm. Nails picks the light from the sun and generates or heats up your liver. Mm-hmm. Your liver then in turn heats up your blood and makes it light to stimulate blood flow.
That is why we started with water, because the key is blood circulation. The key is blood flow. So Elohim in his infinite wisdom, just like these people have solar panels. You have solar panels on your roof. The solar panels, they absorb the heat so that they can heat the house. So the natural solar panels that you have are your nails, those of your fingers, and of course, those of your toes. Those of your fingers, and of course, those of your toes. Because all of these diseases, especially liver and kidney and stuff, because the liver and the kidney, they cleanse the blood, what the nails then do is when you expose yourself to light, you go outside, go outside often, take in some sunlight, especially summer, try to walk with slippers, or if you don't like slippers, you have a garden or something, try to sit sometimes outside with no socks, no covering, take in the sunlight. Because what that sunlight does is it becomes like heat that your nails absorb, and then it stores it in the liver. So the natural healing to your nails is light. But we will continue with that later. So because of time, we will then jump to the lungs.
You may call them the lungs. You may call them the air conditioner of the body.
So just like your hands are the dashboard, your nails are the solar panels, you may call your lungs the air conditioner of the body. What it does is
it warms the air to match your body temperature, and it moisturizes it to the humidity level your body needs. It delivers oxygen to the cells in your body. It removes waste gases, including carbon dioxide, from the body when you exhale. It protects your airways from harmful substances and irritants. It provides ventilation of the lungs, or ventilation of the lungs helps to cool the body down when it is overheated.
This is very key, because especially our ladies really suffer from inflammations and overheating of the body. It can happen to a man, and of course you have to get yourself checked, but especially for females, it can become dangerous when your body is overheated, because what then happens is it can even go to the extent where it begins to affect your womb. So when your body is always too hot, for some female, it gets to a point where their system cannot even hold the sperm anymore. So the sperm tries to get in, or it gets in and then it falls out. Sometimes it gets in, but you already start a baby that is forming, and then after a few weeks or months, you lose the pregnancy. Not knowing that your body is always hot, and your lungs are incapable to regulate or blow out the heat that is inside of your body, and you are forever hot. Forever hot. And then you will have husbands, because you are forever hot. It means that even downstairs, you are very, 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 very loose fit. So when you are very, very, very loose fit, then sometimes your husband, he can no longer enjoy you whilst you are together in marriage. And then he'll be like, no man, de dame is laag. No man, nee. Ze heeft me geboord. Whilst you are a God-fearing lady.
Too much fear.
But you trusted your prophet too much. And you thought everything can be resolved by prayers. So you must do your utmost best to keep your lungs intact. You must do your utmost best to keep your lungs intact. One of the things that really, 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 really kill the lungs is smoke. It utterly clogs the airways. So your lung now has to work twice as hard. So if your liver is defect, your lungs are defect, inside of your body it becomes so hot, nothing can live there. So you are dealing with inflammations, discomfort, and woe unto you then if you catch fever. If you catch fever, then your body won't work, it won't work, and then your tongue will give out, and then you get pneumonia and you die. You die. One of the things that also killed the lung, because I remember I had this neighbor of mine, he was called Sam. No last name given. I lived with him. The guy had the body weight of 3 persons in one. So what then also happens, apart from smoking, is the excess of fat. It clogs the airways and it clogs your lungs to the point where your lungs don't have the liberty to move. Because do you know what happens to fat in your body? What happens to fat in your body is there are certain fat sacs that the body made to store fat. But when you reach excess fat, fat then begins to grow out of control. So the fat will then begin to sit in the areas where normally there was nothing to be there, so that your lungs can expand and contract. So then, because there is too much fat, your lungs cannot do their work. So then also, you die. So apart from the smoking, the excess fat also really disturb lungs and stuff. So because of time, hey, we are continuing. I will try to stop at 3. Let's see. So the kidneys.
The kidneys, their main job is to cleanse the blood of toxins and transform the waste into urine. They also maintain the proper pH level, or the acidity level of the body. If the body is in a satisfactory balance, approximately 80% of ingested fluid is excreted within an hour.
Oh, I see that we what happens, man? Where is the liver slide?
It's not there.
Where is the liver slide?
The gallbladder.
No, not the liver. Libby. So, okay. So, just listen when it comes to the liver, yeah? No, let's connect the liver to the gallbladder. So, go to the gallbladder slide. We will jump back to the kidneys later. Go to the gallbladder slide. Because when it comes to the liver, I think I already mentioned it a bit when I dealt with the lungs. What the liver does is, the liver does the first cleansing of your body's blood. The liver does the first cleansing of your body's blood. However, the liver is strengthened, and in order for your liver to cleanse your body's blood, it needs heat. That's why I said that when your nails absorb natural light, sunlight, it's as if you are feeding your liver with power. So that sunlight comes in, the nails transports it to the liver, and the liver then begins to be very hot. What that heat does is, that heat then warms up the body to the point where the blood within your system, because your blood goes through veins and it goes through the liver, in that heat of the liver then, that blood that goes through there is then purified. It is cleansed. And the heat also, what it also does is, it breaks down some of the fat that is in the arteries, and it makes it light. Because in order for your blood to circulate, it has to be light. So when the liver does it, it filters it, and then it goes out on the other side, and then you are functioning, you are living, because it is cleansing. That is what the liver does. So it is one of the most, if not the most important major organ in your system. That is what the liver then does. Clear? So then we jump to So I said about what it does. The sun makes it makes it strong. But what kills the liver, especially, is too much consumption of alcohol and fat. Consumption of alcohol, fat. What was the other? Consumption of alcohol, fat, sugar. But especially those that really take strong alcohol, it really burns your liver to the point where you reach a point and your liver is dead. And if your liver is dead, you are dead. The liver is dead, you are dead. Because then your body will have excess waste running through. So you will be susceptible to so many diseases. That is the liver for you. So what makes you strong is light, but you also go to the other part. But then we go to the other thing that also clears or cleanses the body, which is the gallbladder. So read for us there.
The gallbladder stores and concentrates bile from the liver. The bile is then released into the first section of the small intestine, where it helps your body to break down and absorb fats from food. Bile is the greenish yellow fluid consisting of waste products, cholesterol, and bile salts that is secreted by the liver cells to perform two primary functions: to carry away waste and to break down fats during digestion.
You see? And bile, I think in Dutch is gall. Some translations call it azijn because it is very, 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 very bitter. You also find it in animals. If you, for example, try to chop up chicken, a whole chicken, sometimes you will find that part. You have to be very careful because if you cut it and the bile explodes on the meat, then even the meat becomes sour. So every being has it. You also have it. It's a small area and it is very, very greenish. And that is where all the bitterness of the body is preserved, because through that bitterness, it cleanses the entire system. But its main focus is to cleanse and to remove fat. Do you know why it removes fat? Because what fat basically is, fat is waste. So usually you will see that in animals and stuff, the more greasier an animal is, basically the more waste that animal has. So even when you're trying to eat animal meat, we Bantus, we go to the butchery, like, give us taba. In English we say taba na mafuta. And we really like taba na mafuta, which basically means goat and fat. Mafuta means fat. But you should try to avoid eating the fat areas of meat. Because what fat is the body of animals and mankind. Fat simply means excess of things it doesn't use anymore. So if you eat a lot, the body takes out what is necessary, and everything that is not necessary, it restores as fat. But that fat that is restored is waste. So when you then begin to eat that waste, you are putting waste in your body. So the gallbladder's special assignment is to reduce and to kill the fat in your system. That's why you see people that are very susceptible to any disease are always people that are obese, people that are fat. Because the more fatter you are, the more susceptible you are to sicknesses, because your body has all the waste inside. And the gallbladder's special function is to kill the fat. Kill the fat. Kill the fat. So how do you destroy your gallbladder? Give it too much fat. Give it too much to do and it will die on you. And how do you heal it? Give it a lot of bitter things. So when you take in bitter stuff, you are immediately replenishing your gallbladder, which will help you when you are eating fat. Yeah? So after the gallbladder, because of time, we now jump to the kidneys.
The main job of the kidneys is to cleanse the blood of toxins and transform the waste into urine. They also maintain.
So this is the second round of cleansing. The liver, then you have the kidneys. The kidneys, they do
Their
what the
main
liver
job-
doesn't do. So their main job is to cleanse the blood of toxins, and additionally, it then, when it cleanses and it removes all the energy that is needed, it cleanses the blood of toxins, it then transforms the waste that is left into urine.
They also maintain the proper pH level or acidity of the body.
Yes.
If the body is in our satisfactory balance, approximately 80% of ingested fluid is excreted within an hour.
Meaning, you drink, your body has taken what it needs, you should go to the toilet within an hour. If you can drink 1 liter of water and you don't go to the toilet within 30 minutes, it is an indication that it is an indication that something is not well, and it is not a spirit. It is not a spirit. It is normal if you wake up in the morning, you drink, you don't immediately go because your body was then dehydrated, it's okay. But if you drink 2-3 glasses of water, you don't go to the toilet within 30 to 1 hour, it means your kidney is not doing well. Your kidney is not doing well. So continue reading. It also helps
Regulate blood pressure.
fight anemia, which is low blood count. Also, with regards to your kidneys, normally the most yellowish urine, the most concentrated urine should be in the morning. Because you have slept, for hours you slept, and when you wake up, the most concentrated urine is in the morning. That is why often when doctors want to understand your body, they will tell you that take a cup, pee in it the first thing in the morning and bring it, because that is the most concentrated waste that your body produces. So by that, they can determine your health. So now, if you are someone, you drink 1 cup, you immediately go to the toilet, and it is very, very yellow. And then you drink 1 cup again. So your urine is always very, very yellow. It means that your body has too much waste. You are toxic. Like Lord said, you are toxic. It means you have a very high concentration of, Christians would say, demonic activity. But normal people would just say you have a very high concentration of toxic or acidity in your body. So you must also go to the doctor in that case. Another case is this. You slept and you wake up and your first pee in the morning is as clear as water. Also means something is wrong. Unless you are fasting, you haven't eaten for days, then it is normal. But even then, it is always yellow. But if in your case, it is always white, just like this, it means that either you are an angel or something is also wrong. So that is how you determine the state of your kidneys. It also helps regulate blood pressure, fight low blood count, etc., etc. So we're almost done. I think we will make 3. We'll make it. Okay. So after the kidneys, we jump to the heart. So the heart.
The 4 main functions of the heart are pumping oxygenated blood to other body parts, pumping hormones and other vital substances to different parts of the body, receiving deoxygenated blood and carrying metabolic waste products from the body and pumping it to the lungs for oxygenation, and maintaining blood pressure.
So you see that the heart is the master of pumping. So it pumps continually. It pumps continually. It pumps continually. It pumps continually. So one of the ways you really help out your heart is to make sure that the blood circulation is hoe kan ik het zeggen? That the blood circulation is, I don't know if I can use the word soft. Make sure that the blood circulation is soft. And what I mean by soft is make sure that your blood is not thick. That's what I mean. Make sure your blood is not thick. Make sure your blood is always at the right temperature. That your blood is always within the right texture. You don't want your blood to be pumping what Jamaicans call blood clots. Blood clots is when your blood is not flowing well, so it develops and it becomes balls. Because what you have to understand is your heart, it pumps through tubes. These tubes are what you call your arteries, or your, how do you call arteries? Your aders. When you do this, sometimes you see that artery, your veins, when you see your veins and stuff, those are, no, it's arteries. Veins, you have veins, but you also have arteries. So veins are very small and your blood has to pump through it. But if you have blood clots, what it then does, it causes your heart to work very hard.
Should he show the next slide? Because it's on the next slide.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you're not there yet? The heart? Oh, you mean the artery? Okay, yeah, just go to clogged arteries, yeah. So how do you help your heart and basically your entire system? You see the normal artery, the way it looks, picture on the right. And then you see when you develop this disease, atherosclerosis, I think, which basically means your arteries have started developing plague. And then you see phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, you develop a blood clot, and if it is unattended, you die. So basically, read, atherosclerosis is a potentially serious condition where
arteries become clogged with fatty substances called plaques, I believe, or atheroma.
So what causes arteries?
High blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, obesity, smoking, inflammation associated with conditions like lupus or arthritis.
So people, some things you inherited, unfortunately, like high cholesterol and stuff, but there are things you can maintain within your own hands that will really help your heart not to develop any plague so that it has to pump hard. Because if your heart has to pump too hard, all of a sudden, it can stop because you have overworked your heart till death. So usually you see people that are huge. Because of your hugeness, your heart is really suffering because it takes more time to pump through all the things because you have weight.
Is it
Yeah.
more the weight? Is my mic still on?
You have weight.
Is it more the weight, or is it the fat? If you have too much fat, because some people are heavy, but they are not necessarily not healthy.
But what is, I think 1 + 1 is 2, right? How does someone become? What do we say when someone is big? We say he's what? We say he's fat. So what do you think is causing the arteries to clog?
No, I mean like
It's the fat.
You said weight, but I mean like there are some people who are, for example, really tall and really muscular, but they are not fat.
I meant
You mean fat people.
yeah.
I
I didn't mean weight. I meant fat.
Clear.
So if you are 2 meters and your weight is 120 kilos, it's normal. You are 2 meters. But if you are like Messi and your weight is 120, you are fat.
Exactly.
And there are some people, they are heavy boned, but even the heavy boned ones doesn't reach that level. So it has to do with fat. If you are fat, your arteries are clogged, so you are making your heart suffer. You are making your heart suffer. That is why someone who's a bit more thin, usually you see they go up and down the stairs, they don't breathe that hard. But someone who's heavier, the smallest movement of the body, it really exacerbates them because the heart has to pump too much blood. Because your condition or conditi has to do with in how many seconds your body is able to transform oxygen and work it through your entire body for you to breathe. So if your body is very loose and your heart is very strong, the oxygen level will be obtained quicker and you are breathing in and out smoother, so your conditions of level. But if your heart is very weak, because it takes so much time, ain't stop and oxygen, it's converted at a too low rate, so you get tired. And when the oxygen is out, you die. So people, with regards to these arteries, you have seen all these things. I think you are seeing some similarities in many of the things that causes a human body not to function well. So I think a few more slides, I think 5 with short intervals and then we're done. So how to restore the organs for optimal health. I think there are 4 or 5 advice and then we're done. So first one.
First one is take in sunlight, especially expose your hands and feet.
We already said it. Take in sunlight, especially expose your hands and feet. It's not basically only just your hand and feet. The largest organ in your body is your skin. Your skin is the largest organ in your body. Your skin can also be fed. That is why it is advisable that what you can eat, you can also put on your skin. So don't really put on your skin things that you cannot really eat. So you said Vaselina, can you eat it? But you put it on your face.
You will die.
But you put it on your face. So it's dangerous. So the sunlight also helps regenerate the skin because it removes the old cells and allows you to bring in new cells. So take in the sunlight because it really recharges your battery, your tempo through the sun. Also, if possible, don't always be the type of person who's too cool for school and always wears sunglasses. Sunglasses is fine, but sometimes your eyes are also helped by your retina taking in the sunlight. So don't always be just on. Sometimes also try to take a moment and let the rays enter your eyes. It also helps. It also helps. Don't always try to be too covered. Try to expose as much of your body within a controlled environment to light. Natural, not artificial. That will really help with the liver and everything, as we already said. So the second one.
The second advice is partake in grounding or walking bare feet in your house more often.
We, human beings, were not meant to always be wearing shoes. In fact, we were not meant to be wearing shoes. So when you always wear shoes and stuff, you eventually see that the older you get, you will have issues walking. The more people wear shoes, especially the older you get, you will have issues walking. Issues with your back, the older you get. So try to make sure that you place your feet on the ground as often as possible. Now, sometimes even you can already experiment for yourself. Sometimes when you have back issues, just remove your shoes and walk barefoot. What walking barefoot does, it levels your body. It really levels your body. And apart from that, try, and I don't know if you can do it in this country, grounding or earthing, where you are exposing your soil to nature, ground. So not stone, but really ground, aarde, gras. That really, really, really does benefits to your body.
With soils, you refer to the bottom of your feet.
Yeah, your soles. So no socks, just expose it like that. Yeah, within the house, yeah, you will sokken dragen. Yeah, just try to expose your feet as much as possible. And then you also see, because why did I not add a source to this as well? Because obviously I did not make this. But you can see how every part of your soul is connected to one of your organs. That is why, especially the Eastern people, Chinese and stuff, they really know how to help you by only addressing your feet. Someone can have heart issues, and there are people that can go to your feet and they can press something and it relieves your heart. These are things that instead of for us to always, you are fasting, praying, go and study these things. Go and study these natural things that really work. Instead of always taking medicine. So natural is the way to go. So there are many benefits to understanding your feet and to allowing your feet to be grounded. It will really help. Europe is sometimes cold, the floor is sometimes cold, so it's very, very difficult. But if you can try to do this, at least an hour a day, just walk barefooted, even in your house, it's difficult, but it can be done. And if you have vloerverwarming, then it can be done. So we are moving. The other one.
The other one is drink plenty of water and consume less sugar.
This is obvious, but still we must state it. Hot and cold.
Preferably.
Because many people always know the cold one, but others refuse by principle to drink hot water. But Arike, read the benefits of cold first and then the benefits of hot.
The
Cold.
benefits of cold water. It cools body temperature. It is good for weight loss. It prevents excessive sweating and it prevents dehydration. It slows, so only the benefits?
Then, everything from cold and then hot.
Okay, so benefits, now the benefits of hot water. It relieves congestion.
So you have constipation or stuff, you take lemon, or you just take hot water, you put salt in it and you drink. It will help you. You have just eaten too much red meat. Your stomach is filled. Don't just go and sleep like that. Make sure you also drink something hot that will help with the digestion. Read.
So again, the benefits of hot water, it relieves congestion, it helps digestion and prevents bloating.
That is why, especially with the Chinese people, again, because these people, they understand health things more than us Bantus, unfortunately. So you usually see Chinese people, they always end their meals with tea. They always end them. So even if you go to Chinese restaurants, if you venture to go there, you will see that after eating, they don't even ask you. They always bring hot water and a cup. And then it's up to you to drink, but it really helps after eating and with the digestion. So you can apply it for yourself. Continue reading.
It detoxifies the body.
Yes, because it is heat. So what it then does is, if the blood is thick, you take in hot water and it makes the blood thin again. So it can circulate and thus it detoxifies the body.
It relieves constipation.
Yes, it helps against bloating as well. So we then go to the risk of cold and then hot.
The risk of cold water, it slows digestion and can worsen stomach or abdominal cramps.
So let's say, that is why it is, basically the things we sometimes do, it makes no sense. You eat kapsalon and you finish it with the kawa alufera.
Goat.
It really makes no sense. But all of us do it. But if you look at it from a natural point of view, it's as if you are telling yourself, hey, I need this fat to be stored. So you eat kapsalon and stuff, meki and stuff. It's so much fat, and especially saturated fat, and then you drink something cold, so then your blood stalled. So the fat within your body, it immediately gets stored because your body can move it. And that's the things we do. So continue reading. It's
So
not
the
easy,
risk of hot water.
Yeah.
Hot, not warm water can cause scalding.
So don't drink hot. Drink warm water. What is hot water? You take it from the boiler, you see the steam is coming up, you're like, to the point where you burn your tongue. If you do that, it is dangerous. Let it simmer a bit, maybe 1 or 2 minutes, and then drink. So hot water is, warm water is good, hot water is not good. So you
The
see,
best
that
time
is
to
basically
drink.
the only risk. Meaning there are more benefits to drinking hot water than cold water. But unfortunately, Bantus our taste. But there are more benefits to drinking hot water than cold water. So continue.
The best time to drink cold water is during strenuous activities like exercising, running, and sports.
Don't go running and go kickboxing and stuff and then, ja, ik moet warm water drinken. You will die. Don't do that. But because Bantus are always, I don't know, but
They take it literally.
they take, so the best time to drink hot water,
It's in the morning, for example,
the first thing,
after meals,
that's 2,
and before bed.
that's 3. First thing in the morning, if possible, you drink warm water. After eating, immediately after eating, you drink something warm, if possible. Before sleeping, you drink something warm, if possible. It will really, really, really help you. And it is free of charge. And then we go to the next one.
The next one says, avoid fatty foods as much as possible. Keep the red meat a minimum as well.
First, I was contemplating, should I remove meat altogether? But then I was like, no, man, it's propaganda. Not all meat is bad. I know people, they only eat, they are vegan. They are vegan, but their health is going nowhere. Their health is going nowhere. So the answer is a balanced diet. So on the left, you have unhealthy fats, and on the right, you have healthy fats. Obviously, you see on the left, what do you notice when you look at the left?
Processed type food. Which
That's
are,
the key. That's the key. That's the key. Laboratories, scientists, process food, except for that red meat. However, if we are to believe Bill Gates, even the meat is now clones. So you see on the left, almost all of it is from a factory. It's processed. And then you look at the right, you see salmon, olive oil, you see nuts, seeds, you see avocado. I don't know about that margarine. It's very, very suspicious. I don't know what it's doing there. But you see, the more you tend to stick to what's natural, meaning you don't add too much to eat it, the healthier it is for you. The more ingredients something has, the unnatural it is for you. So try to avoid these saturated, unhealthy, fatty foods, and try to keep your red meat to minimum as possible. It will help you with having clear arteries and not have clogged arteries. So, next slide.
I think this is the last advice. Or no. The other advice, the next advice says, take in bitter foods and drinks.
This will really boost, strengthen your gallbladder, and it will also make you very strong. Take in bitter foods and drinks. As we all know, I think there are 4 tastes, right? There is sweet, sour, there is bitter, and what was the other? How many tastes did we have? Sweet, sour, bitter, and salt. Those are the 4 tastes that our tongues quickly identify. Of the 4, which do we like most?
Sweet.
Sweet. Sweet is on top. Sweet is on top. What makes us the most sick?
Sweet.
Sweet. Sweet. Sweet. Because a lot of the foods that we eat, especially carbohydrates, which is our favorite food, it gets turned into sugar in our body. So our body has too much sugar. Even if you don't eat sugar, everything you eat, most of the things you eat, your body will consider it as sugar. Because carbohydrates gets broken down into sugar. The only thing that doesn't get broken down into sugar is fat. Fat doesn't get broken down into sugar. Fat gets taken into your body as fat as well. That is why having a healthy, balanced diet where you also eat healthy fats, it's very, very important to you. But speaking of healthy things, take in the bitter food or herbs. So on the left, you see you can make your own juice. Make your own juice. So everything that is green will really help you, because there is nothing that is green that is sweet. Everything that is green, so green is your safe color. The moment you start going to yellow, red, you are in danger, because usually that's is sweet.
Orange and red.
Yellow, orange, red. Usually it's very sweet. So try to make sure, hunt for green. Green will help you. Apart from green, on the right, or the second one from the left, you see hibiscus, which is the only exception. It is very red, but very bitter. Make your own lemonade with hibiscus. It is good, and it also helps with your blood. Cheap to buy. You can make your own lemonade, put it in the fridge, and you will have drinks for weeks. Yeah, and then the other slide, it says benefits of bitter. What does it say? It purifies the blood. It fights against harmful bacteria. It prevents indigestion. It reduces the chance of anemia.
Oh, now you are reading the third.
Yeah, the third.
The third picture.
And it keeps your heart healthy. So those are the benefits of eating bitter things. You want your blood to be purified. You see your pee is always yellow and stuff. Try to start only drinking bitter things. It will purify your body and strengthen your gallbladder. And then we Africans, we have this super drug. In Congo, we call it likasu. Likasu. In the Western world, they call it the cola nuts. This thing, it can help you. It can help you. So if you can obtain this, best of the best. You eat it, you will despise your life for 2 hours. But that bitterness is, your body will thank you. Be like, thank you, sir. So cola nuts. And every person that is of any exotic country, you may have a variant of something that is very bitter. Try to incorporate that in your meals. On the background, we see the Kwasi Bita for our Sranang kings and queens. You take the Kwasi Bita, you put it in hot water. Just try to drink it. If you are able, I will call you a god. Put the Kwasi Bita in and drink it. You will despise your life. I tried it 3 times, and 3 times I failed. Because you take a sip, you're like, no. It is too bitter.
Kwasibita.
But it will help you. It will really, really help you. So we are bringing it to an end. Next slide. Let food
be thy medicine and not thine poison.
So Genesis
1:29.
And Elohim said,
Behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat. And Revelations 22:2. In the midst of the street of it, and on the other side of the river, was there the tree of life, which bare 12 manner of fruits, and yielded her fruit every month. And the leaves of the tree were for the healing of the nations.
So I wrote down where Elohim
gave us food for our nourishment. Unfortunately, the food we are consuming today is slowly killing us. The more processed the food, the more detrimental to our health. A balanced diet is more needed than senseless spirituality in our days space, and time. The Japanese know not the Elohim of Israel, but are healthier and live longer than the Bantus and the so-called Israelis.
So, yes, we have told you a lot. Speaking of how your body works, how to cleanse it, how to keep it optimal so that you can live your life. So this is all nice and well, but the conclusion remains the same. So the next slide.
So, Ecclesiastes 12 from 1.
So you see on the left this handsome young boy, and then the handsome young boy ought not to make the mistake thinking that he will live forever. Because as time passes, the handsome young boy will become a wrinkled old guy with red eyes. And when he has become the wrinkled old guy with red eyes, he will then contemplate and think of his life, what he did, what he didn't do. And then it will not be a question of did you eat healthy and all these stuff, which will help your body. But the preacher man says, remember,
now thy creator in the days of thy youth,
whilst
the evil days come not.
when you get old, those are evil days. You are slow. You can't really think straight. You have diseases in your system. Death is lurking around the corner. So read.
While the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them. While the sun, or the light, or the moon, or the stars be not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter.
Therefore, fear.
Fear Elohim.
Fearing means respect, honor. Just like you maybe are planning to get married, or just like you who now is a son. You know that it is out of the question for you to disrespect your father. It makes no sense. You want to make your father proud. And one of the ways you make your father proud is by honoring his wishes, because you know he means well for you. So he's saying, fear Elohim
and keep his commandments. For this is the whole duty of man.
For this is the purpose, the reason for mankind.
For Elohim shall bring every work into judgment, with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil.
Concluding slide, and then we're done. So dear people, that was the lesson for today. We hope that you have at least learned something. Now that we have discussed the outer part, we will then look at the inner parts going from next week, where the preacher man will deal with the soul. And then on the final week, the other preacher man will then show you how the Almighty then deals with those inner part of man. So we thank you for your time. We thank you for your patience. We apologize that we started a bit late, but we are transitioning, and sometimes new starts, they have hiccups. So we hope that you learned something, and we will see you hopefully at the same time next week. Shalom.
Papa ofandi na lola nakabeli yo bomo inanga lokola fololo soki osepeli na liboza na ngai soki olingi osalela nga ngolu yoka losambo ntango kopesanga bozwi ata otomboli ngai yo nasengi ozala na ngelongo tokoma tina suka. balobi tika nzela nzambe na kitoko eozana okoki kokelela te motema ekomi kopeta balingi bakabolanga na yo nakokoka te ngai